Washington, 1863. The Civil War is burning through the nation, and President Abraham Lincoln carries its weight in his tall, stooped frame. He is already a man haunted by war, by grief, by his own dark dreams. But on one quiet afternoon, the president visits a woman whose parlor is filled with incense and cards. A fortune teller, a seer, as she called herself. She looks at Lincoln's long, pale hand, traces the lines in his palm, and then says something so strange, so chilling, that the president himself would later repeat it. "You will serve 2 terms, Mr. Lincoln, but you will not live to see the end of the second." To understand this moment, you have to know Lincoln as he was then, not the marble statue, not the myth, but the man. By the early 1860s, Lincoln had suffered deeply. He had buried 2 sons. He lived under constant threat of assassination, and he wrestled with a depression so heavy that friends worried it might consume him. At the same time, America itself was in pieces. Soldiers were dying by the thousands. The White House was not a palace of certainty, it was a house filled with whispers of war, loss, and doubt. And in those years, when science felt far away and death was always close, many people, ordinary citizens and leaders alike, turned to spiritualists and fortune tellers for comfort. Lincoln, with his lifelong fascination with dreams and omens, was no exception. Her name was Mrs. Belle Miller, a well-known fortune teller in Washington. Accounts say Lincoln first went to her parlor at the urging of Mary Todd Lincoln, who herself believed strongly in spirits and signs. Lincoln sat quietly while Mrs. Miller studied him, his enormous handclasp scarred and powerfully open on the table. She traced the lines of his palm, and what she saw startled her. She told him, "Your lifeline is strong. You will rise to great power, higher than any man in this country. You will serve 2 terms as President of the United States. But your hand shows me this clearly, you will not live through the second." Imagine being Lincoln in that moment, a man already burdened with visions of his own death, hearing a stranger echo them back. What makes this fortune so haunting is that it matched Lincoln's own private fears. He was a dreamer, literally. He often spoke of dreams as warnings. Friends recalled him telling a story just weeks before his death. He had dreamed of walking through the White House, hearing the sound of mourning. In the East Room, he found a coffin draped in black. Guards stood around it. Lincoln asked, "Who is dead in the White House?" And a soldier replied, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." It was Lincoln telling his own death before it happened. And now here was a fortune teller confirming the same fate. As the war dragged on, Lincoln lived under constant threat. Assassination attempts were rumored almost daily, but Lincoln, in his strange way, accepted it. He told his guards that if someone truly wanted him dead, no amount of protection would stop it. He moved through the world like a man resigned to destiny. Some historians argue that this fortune teller's words only reinforced Lincoln's fatalism, that it was easier for him to walk into danger believing it was already written. In November 1864, Lincoln won re-election. Just as the fortune teller had predicted, he entered a second term. But her warning still lingered. On April 14, 1865, Good Friday, Lincoln attended a play at Ford's Theater. John Wilkes Booth slipped into his box and fired a single shot to the back of the president's head. Lincoln never regained consciousness. He was carried across the street, where he died the next morning. The fortune teller had been right. He did not live through the second term. There are many ways to look at this. Skeptics will say it was coincidence. That talk of assassination was so constant, anyone could have guessed it. Others believe Mrs. Miller truly saw something in Lincoln's palm, a destiny carved in flesh, before it unfolded. But here's what matters most. Lincoln himself believed it. He repeated her prophecy to friends. He carried it with him, along with his dreams of death and his sense of being chosen for sacrifice. Whether you believe in palmistry or not, the words shaped the mind of a man who carried the fate of millions. We remember Lincoln as a giant, a legend, but in that dim parlor, he was just a man, staring at the lines on his hand, wondering how much of his life was his own. A fortune teller predicted his death. Lincoln dreamed it himself. And when the shot rang out in Ford's Theater, it was as if both prophecy and dream had met. So we're left with the question Lincoln himself might have asked, was it fate? Or was it simply the heavy hand of history?